Before we begin, a warning. There is offensive language, including racial abuse, in this episode.
Looking for this man, eh?
This one, yeah.
Hey?
Which one? This one.
Could be either of them, but I think 511. You know that man?
On November 9, 2019, a young police constable, Zach Rolfe, showed up in the remote Northern Territory community of Yuendumu with a partner to arrest 19-year-old Warlpiri man Kumanjai Walker. Rolfe was an Afghanistan veteran, an ex-soldier with dreams of being a commando. He'd turned his gung-ho energy to a physical style of policing on the streets of Alice Springs. Walker was a young man who'd been orphaned as an infant, had been identified at school as special needs, and had witnessed severe domestic violence during his childhood. By the age of 19, he was himself in trouble for domestic violence incidents. He had kicked, choked, punched and bashed his girlfriend with a rock and a steel bar. Rolfe and his partner were sent to arrest Walker after Walker threatened two local police with a machete. This is the audio from the body-worn cameras of Rolfe and his partner Adam Eberl.
Hey. What's your name, mate? What's your name? Stop there. Stop, mate. We're just asking you a question. No need to keep walking. Vernon.
During the attempted arrest, Walker repeatedly stabbed the officers with scissors. Rolfe drew his police Glock and shot Walker 3 times.
Hands behind your back. Stop it, mate. Let go of the scissors. Let go of the scissors.
Walker died hours later in the local police station. 3 days later, police charged Rolfe with murder, an allegation he has always denied. This is Rolfe speaking in a documentary published by The Australian to our colleague Kristen Shorten.
The police didn't stand up in front of the media and they didn't tell the truth. The situation that I was given on the day, or the situation I was put in, I would not do anything differently. I do not wish I'd done anything differently. It's extremely unfortunate that Walker passed, but he put us in that situation and he put my partner's life at risk and my own life at risk. So it's unfortunate, but I did what I had to do.
Rolfe was acquitted of murder, a result that left Walker's family angry and grieving at a time when Black Lives Matter sentiment was crystallising long-standing trauma in Indigenous communities.
We are in mourning, that we're in pain, now the whole world is behind us.
The decision also galvanised a sentiment among some Territory cops that top brass had, as they saw it, thrown an individual cop to the wolves for an incident that had deep-rooted societal causes, entrenched Indigenous disadvantage and hostility between communities and police. Now, the Northern Territory's coroner is examining Walker's death in a sweeping inquest that spanned 2 years. After delaying proceedings while he fought a subpoena to appear at the inquest, Rolfe has also attempted to avoid questions about the night he shot Kumanjai Walker, but coroner Elizabeth Armitage has compelled him to answer. Now, finally in the witness box, Rolfe has made serious allegations of racism that go all the way to senior officers. Rolfe told the coroner the Northern Territory Response Group, an elite group of tactical cops, held annual awards drenched in racism. We've used voice actors to bring you the words spoken in court.
Amongst the police force, we had heard of this award and we knew of it to be called the Year Award. But the actual award, as I'm made aware, is called the Award for exhibiting the most like behaviour of the year.
Rolfe told the inquest around 35 people would attend the so-called ceremony.
The staff would make the recipient dress up in a toga and they'd give him a wooden club with some nails at the end of it, which would often live above the TRG cave door.
Rolfe also alleged officers called an Alice Springs bar, popular with members of the local Aboriginal community, the Animal Bar, and referred to earlier claims aired in a court hearing that a former senior officer referred to an Aboriginal woman as a fat gin. Rolfe suggested current and former officers who'd given evidence at the inquest knew and lied about the awards incident. He said a number of them had even moved into high-ranking and executive positions in the force, where they turned a blind eye to racist and demeaning behaviour.
Culture starts at the head, and in a small place like the NT Police, this stuff becomes normalised.
The barrister representing NT Police, Ian Freckleton KC, said on Monday the allegations made by Rolfe were being immediately looked into. Freckleton was granted a non-publication order on the names of the officers alleged to be involved in the annual gathering while it's investigated. Like something out of an old gangster movie, the counsel assisting the coroner, Dr Peggy Dwyer SC, asked Rolfe to write the names of the officers he believed to have participated in the awards on a piece of paper and hand it to her. Rolfe declined, and he was accused on Wednesday of implicating a former colleague in the gatherings as payback for giving evidence that painted Rolfe in a bad light. Zach Rolfe himself has faced serious allegations of racism at this inquest. Peggy Dwyer has gone back through Rolfe's text message exchanges with other police, which feature deeply offensive language.
I just don't get why all that work has got me to the point where it's my job to look after Neanderthals who drink too much alcohol. Haha. I do have a licence to towel locals. I like it.
On Monday, Rolfe said he regretted the messages.
The fact I've said in my messages, which has been made public and would have caused hurt to people, especially kids, that kills me. I'm sorry for that, but I can't take it back.
Before he shot Walker, Zachary Rolfe had won a National Bravery Award for the rescue of 2 tourists from a flooded river. He'd also been involved in numerous violent arrests on the streets of Alice Springs, usually physical altercations with Aboriginal people. In the coronial hearing this week, counsel assisting the inquiry, Peggy Dwyer SC, has been probing Rolfe's prior behaviour. One incident from body-worn camera vision played to the court saw Rolfe rush towards a man he said he'd witnessed headbutting a woman and push him forcefully to the ground. On another occasion, Rolfe ran after and pushed a man who fell into a fence and was taken to hospital. After that, Rolfe texted a family member.
Because I wear body armour, I'm not as rapid as the locals initially, but they still can't outrun me. Turns out the dude wasn't who we were looking for and is now in a sling for nothing. Haha. Don't run from the police.
The family member, who's not been identified, responded, "Wow, that's incredible running, darling. He must have been guilty of something if he ran." Counsel assisting Peggy Dwyer asked Rolfe,
"You think that's funny? Is that fair?"
Maybe. It's dark humour and we're making light of the situation. Yes.
Asked if this was an example of him showing compassion, Rolfe said,
This is a situation where I am venting. I admit that I talk in this way that is very offensive to a lot of people. But when I am on the ground, I treat people with respect when I can, and I am as compassionate as possible.
Rolfe's text message exchanges with other police were also under the microscope. Here's a message Rolfe sent a sergeant who was apologising for losing his shit. Rolfe's message read,
Bro, it was literally no stress. I'm all for that shit. I've done the same thing to you more than once before. Always ready to make my camera face the other way and be a dramatic cunt for the film. Haha.
Dwyer asked if Rolfe and the other officer engaged in conduct that was unprofessional together.
Yes, we did.
Rolfe told the court he had insomnia and a low mood and was on medication. Dwyer repeatedly asked if he was reacting to dramatic situations with anger or using too much force. Here's what Rolfe told the court.
I guess we were dealing with a lot of hard jobs. I know the hardest jobs for us would be the crimes against children and the crimes against women. Obviously, they affect you. And yeah, there's sometimes a feeling that the justice system doesn't do enough to stop that offending.
Speaking about the incident where he saw a woman being headbutted, Rolfe said this.
I'm not going to lie, that does create anger. Seeing a woman get assaulted by the person that should be the main person in her life, who should be protecting her more than anything, that does cause anger, yes.
Rolfe's barrister is South Australian silk Michael Abbott KC in his late 70s. Right from the start of this week's hearings, he's been at odds with Peggy Dwyer SC, the counsel assisting, objecting to most of her questions. Just minutes into Rolfe's testimony, Dwyer was asking about the fact most of Rolfe's early work as a constable was in domestic violence call-outs with the Aboriginal community. Here are voice actors reenacting the words spoken in court. You'll hear Peggy Dwyer, counsel assisting, Zach Rolfe answering questions, and Rolfe's barrister Michael Abbott, KC, chiming in.
You hadn't had any specific training in relation to understanding Aboriginal culture?
Yeah, just what was in the NT police training.
Did you get much community engagement outside of arresting people? Was there positive community engagement?
Yeah, every day. Every day when we're not arresting people, we're engaged with the community.
Was it in a positive way?
Generally, if we could make it positive, yes.
Can you give any examples of positive community engagement that you had an opportunity to do while you were a police officer in Alice Springs?
Michael Abbott objected.
I object to the accusatory tone that your counsel assisting is using to my client. There's no reason why she can't ask her questions in a much more modulated tone, and certainly a less accusatory tone of voice.
The coroner said she couldn't see a problem. Dwyer asked how Rolfe demonstrated his compassion.
I'd do my best. It depends how they acted. At some point, say, if they resisted arrest or if they fought me, after they stopped fighting, I'd be compassionate for sure.
Abbott continued to object as Dwyer grilled Rolfe about an incident where he stole tobacco from a comrade's locker, his decision to leave the army after not getting into the Special Forces, whether he had ever used illegal drugs, and a fight that resulted in a conviction for violent behaviour.
I object to the accusatory tone of this cross-examination. My client is here to give evidence to assist the inquiry. My learned friend is here to prosecute him, obviously.
I absolutely object to this suggestion. But it's 2024. There are lady barristers. My learned friend's going to have to get used to that. I am entitled to ask questions in exactly the same manner as any other counsel assisting would ask them, which is obviously fairly, but also with a degree of inflection in my voice.
The inquest continues. Donald Trump blitzed the Republican presidential primary in Michigan on Tuesday, doubling the votes of his nearest competitor, Nikki Haley. The victory foreshadows Super Tuesday on March 5, the biggest day in the Republican primary race to the White House. You can read that story right now at theaustralian.com.au.